My name is Emma. I am 24 years old. I live in a small city called Brentwood. I live with my father and my younger brother. My mother passed away when I was a child. I work at a small coffee stall near the city bus station. It is not a fancy job, but I like it. I meet many people each day. I talk, smile, and serve hot drinks. Some people come every day and talk to me like a friend. I do not earn much, but I enjoy my work. I also enjoy quiet evenings at home with my family. One morning, my phone rang very early. It was still dark outside. I looked at the screen. It was my best friend, Anna. She never called me so early. I answered at once. Her voice was soft, but I could hear worry. She said, "Emma, can you meet me? Please come to the city park, near the old bridge. I will wait for you." I asked her what happened, but she just said, "Please come. I don't feel safe." Then she ended the call. I sat on my bed, feeling confused. It was only 6 a.m. What was Anna doing in the park at this hour? Why did she sound so scared? I got ready quickly. I wore my jeans, a gray hoodie, and my old white sneakers. I did not eat anything. I just picked up my phone and keys and left. My father was still sleeping. The air was cold and quiet. The city looked different at that time. The streets were empty. I walked fast to the main road and waited for a taxi. After a few minutes, a small yellow car stopped. I told the driver the park name. He did not speak much. He just drove slowly through the quiet roads. I reached the park after 10 minutes. The sky was gray and the grass was wet. I saw the old bridge across the small river. It was a quiet place. Not many people came there in the morning. I walked towards the bridge and looked around. Then I saw Anna. She stood near a tree. Her face looked pale, and she kept looking over her shoulder. I ran to her and said, "Anna, what's wrong? Are you okay?" She looked at me and gave a weak smile. "Thank you for coming," she said. I didn't know who else to call. I held her hand. "What happened?" I asked. She looked around again before speaking. "I think someone is following me," she said. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. I felt a chill down my back. "Since when?" I asked. She said, "I saw a man yesterday. He was outside the supermarket. He looked at me for a long time. Then today, I saw the same man again, near my house. And now, I think he followed me here." I looked around. I did not see anyone strange. "Where is he now?" I asked. Anna pointed behind a tree across the river. "He was standing there a few minutes ago," she said. "But I don't see him now." I wanted to protect her, but I also felt afraid. We were 2 girls alone in a quiet park. I looked again. I saw no man, just trees, grass, and the sound of birds. "Let's go sit on that bench," I said. "We can talk and see what happens next." She agreed. We sat down. She kept her eyes on the trees. I tried to stay calm. I said, Maybe he is just a person walking. Maybe it's not what you think. Anna looked at me. Maybe, she said. But I don't want to take a chance. As we sat, I saw an old woman walking near the path. She looked lost. She turned left, then right. She looked at the trees and the road like she didn't know where to go. She held a small brown purse. Her steps were slow. She stopped near a bench and sat down, holding her head. I stood up and walked to her. "Hello?" I said softly. "Are you okay?" She looked up at me with tired eyes. "I don't know where my son is," she said. "He was with me, but now I don't see him. I think I went the wrong way." I felt sad. She looked confused and cold. I called Anna over. She joined me and sat near the woman. "Do you know your son's name?" I asked. She said, "Yes, his name is Daniel. He wears a red cap." I looked around but saw no one wearing red. "Do you remember where you saw him last?" Anna asked. The woman said, "Near the bus stop. He told me to sit here and wait, but I walked away. I thought I saw him near the trees. I was wrong." She looked like she wanted to cry. We helped her stand. "Let's walk to the bus stop," I said. "Maybe he is still there." She smiled a little and said, "Thank you, girls." We walked slowly. The woman held Anna's hand. As we turned the corner, I saw a man running towards us. He wore a red cap. "Mom!" he shouted. The old woman stopped. Her face changed at once. She smiled and opened her arms. "Daniel!" she cried. He hugged her tight and said, "You scared me. I was looking everywhere." The woman said, "I'm sorry. I got confused." Daniel looked at us. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you so much." Anna smiled and said, "It's okay. We are happy to help." He said goodbye and took his mother with him. I felt warm inside. Anna looked calmer too. "Helping her made me feel better," she said. I forgot about the man for a while. We sat again on the bench. The sun was higher now. More people were coming to the park. A man walked past us with a small dog. A woman ran by with music in her ears. I looked at Anna. "Do you want to go to the police?" I asked. She thought for a moment. "Yes," she said. "Maybe they can check if that man is around." We walked to the small police post near the park gate. A kind officer listened to us. Anna told him everything. The officer asked questions and wrote down her answers. He said they would check the cameras in the area and keep watch. He gave Anna a phone number to call if she felt unsafe again. After that, Anna smiled for the first time that day. "Thank you, Emma," she said. "You came without asking questions. You stayed. I feel safe now." I hugged her and said, "That's what friends do." She looked at the sky and said, "It's a strange day, but I'm glad you were with me." Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. We left the police post and walked slowly. The park was now full of people. Children were playing near the grass. A man was feeding birds. 2 old men were talking near a bench. Anna looked more relaxed. Her eyes were not moving around anymore. She still looked tired, but she was calm. I asked her, "Do you want to go home now?" She shook her head. "Not yet. Let's sit and talk for a while." We found a quiet place near the trees. The bench was dry. The sun was warm on our faces. Anna looked at me. "Do you think I'm crazy?" she asked. I smiled. "No. I think you were scared. That's not crazy." She looked down at her hands. "I didn't sleep much last night. I kept thinking about that man. I thought maybe I imagined everything." I said, "Maybe it was real. Or maybe not. But when you feel afraid, it's better to ask for help." She nodded. "That's why I called you. I knew you would come." I thought about what she said. I knew Anna since we were 12. She was always brave. She was the one who jumped in the river first when we were kids. She was the one who spoke to new people when I felt shy. But today, she looked small and quiet. I said, "You are always strong, Anna. But even strong people need help sometimes." She gave me a small smile. "Thanks, Emma. I just don't like this feeling. I don't like being afraid." We sat for a long time. We watched the people, the dogs, and the leaves falling from the trees. Then Anna said, "I think I want to go home now." I said, "I'll come with you." She looked surprised. "Really? Don't you need to go to work?" I looked at the time. It was almost 10. My shift started at 11. I said, "I'll tell them I'll be late." "It's okay." She smiled again. "You're a good friend." We walked out of the park and waited for a taxi. One stopped after 5 minutes. The driver was young and friendly. He talked about the weather. Anna sat quietly. I could see she was still thinking. We reached her apartment building. It was small, with only 3 floors. She lived on the 2nd floor. We walked up together. Her room was small but clean. There was a sofa, a table, and a small bed. She had photos on the wall. One photo showed the 2 of us when we were younger. Anna sat on the sofa and took off her shoes. She looked tired. I asked, "Do you want tea or water?" She said, "Just sit with me." So I sat. We didn't talk for a while. Then she said, "Emma, I think I know who that man is." I looked at her. "Really?" She nodded slowly. "I'm not sure, but I have an idea." She stood up and walked to her small cupboard. She opened a box and took out a photo. "Do you remember Josh?" she asked. I thought for a moment. "Josh, your old boyfriend?" She nodded. "Yes. We broke up last year. It was not good. He didn't like it when I said I wanted space. He kept sending messages. Then he stopped. But 2 days ago, I saw someone near my building. I think it was him. I felt angry. Why didn't you tell me this before? Anna looked away. I didn't want to bring him back into my life. I wanted to forget. I stood up. Anna, this is not small. If he's following you, it's serious. She nodded. I know, but I was scared to say his name. It's like, if I don't say it, he's not real, I said. We already went to the police. Tell them this too. They need to know. Anna looked at the floor. Do you think they will help? I said, yes. You are not alone. You told someone. You told me. And I'm with you. She took a deep breath. Okay. I will go back to the police later. I'll show them his photo. After that, I called the stall and told them I would be late. They understood. They always liked Anna. I made some tea. We sat and drank it slowly. Anna looked better now. Her hands were not shaking. Her voice was calm. Thanks for staying, she said. I don't want to be alone right now. I said, I'm not leaving until you feel safe. Around noon, I said goodbye and walked to my stall. The sun was high and people were out. The city looked normal again, but I kept thinking about Anna. I hoped she would go to the police again. I hoped that man would stay away. At work, I told nothing to anyone. I made coffee and served customers. My hands were busy, but my mind was full. I thought about fear. I thought about how small things can make someone feel weak. A look, a shadow, a sound behind you. I also thought about how a friend can change that, just by being there. Later that evening, Anna called me. Her voice was strong. I showed the police his photo, she said. They said they will check his name. I said, good. I'm proud of you. She said, I feel better. I still feel a little scared, but not like before. The next morning, Anna sent me a message. She said, I'm okay. I'm at home. The police said they will call me if they learn more. Thank you again, Emma. I sent her a heart emoji. That day at work, I smiled more. I felt light. 3 days later, something nice happened. I was at my stall, cleaning the counter. A man and a woman came. The woman looked familiar. Then I remembered. It was the old woman from the park, the one who got lost. She was with her son, Daniel. He smiled. We wanted to thank you, he said. The woman gave me a small paper bag. I made these for you, she said. Cookies. I opened the bag and saw round cookies inside. They smelled sweet and fresh. I smiled. You didn't have to, I said. She touched my hand. You helped me. I didn't forget. Daniel said, you were kind to her when she was scared. Thank you. I felt warm inside. I said, it was nothing. I was just doing what I hoped someone would do for me." They smiled and said goodbye. That evening, Anna and I met again. We sat at our favorite bench near the small lake. She looked peaceful. "The police called me," she said. "They found out Josh left town 2 days ago. He is not here anymore." I said, "That's good." She nodded. "I still don't know if it was him, but I'm not scared now." We sat in silence for a while. Then she said, "Do you know what helped me most?" I said, "What?" She said, "You just coming when I called. Just listening. That made everything feel better." I looked at the water and smiled. That's what friends do. 2 weeks passed. Life started to feel normal again. Anna went back to work. She stopped checking over her shoulder all the time. She slept better. We still talked every day, just like before. Sometimes we met for lunch. Sometimes we went for a short walk in the evening. But the fear was not there anymore. She was healing, slowly but surely. One Saturday morning, I had the day off. I woke up late and made toast for breakfast. My dad and my brother were watching a football match on TV. I sat with them for a while. Then I picked up my phone and texted Anna. "Want to meet later?" She replied, "Yes. Let's go to the riverside. I need some air." I smiled. It was her idea this time, not mine. We met at 3 p.m. The sun was bright, but the air was cool. We sat near the river and watched the water. There were boats in the distance and a few kids running along the grass. Anna looked peaceful. She took off her shoes and let her feet touch the soft grass. After a few quiet minutes, she said, "I'm happy you stayed with me that day. I still think about it. The fear, the old woman, the police. Everything felt strange, but it also felt like something changed inside me." I asked, "Changed how?" She said, "I always tried to be strong by myself. But that day I learned something. Sometimes real strength is asking someone to be there." I nodded. We are not meant to face everything alone. She smiled. "Yes, I know that now." We stayed at the riverside for a long time. We didn't need to talk. Just being there was enough. In the following days, something sweet happened. The old woman and her son came again to my coffee stall. This time, they brought flowers. Small pink ones in a paper wrap. "You helped us," Daniel said again. "We want to say thank you one more time." I felt shy but happy. I placed the flowers in a glass jar and put them on the counter. Every time I looked at them, I smiled. That night, Anna sent me a photo of her desk. On it was a book, a small candle, and a card. The card said, "You are never alone." I asked, "What's this?" She replied, "Something I made to remind myself. And also, I made one for you." I felt warm inside. She said, "Check your mailbox." I ran outside and opened it. There it was. the same small card with the same words. I took it in and placed it near my bed. Weeks turned into a month. Winter was coming. The air became cold and the trees lost their leaves. But the fear from that day did not come back. It stayed in the past. Anna still walked carefully and stayed alert, but she was not afraid anymore. She even joined a weekend class, learning how to paint. She sent me photos of her paintings. They were soft and full of color. I told her they were beautiful. She laughed and said, "Don't lie." I replied, "I'm not. They really are." One Friday, we met again at the small park near her building. It was where everything began. The place did not feel scary anymore. It felt quiet and safe. We sat on the same bench under the big tree. She brought 2 hot drinks in paper cups. We watched the people walk by. A small girl passed with her dog. An older man sat on the next bench and read a book. Everything felt simple, calm. Anna said, "Do you think I should talk to Josh if he ever comes back?" I thought for a moment. "Only if you want to. Not because you feel scared. Not because he asks." She nodded. "Yes, I want to be the one who decides, not him." I said, "You are strong now. And smart. And you have people who care about you." She looked at me. "You know, Emma, I used to think fear made me weak, but it taught me something. Fear showed me who I can trust. Fear showed me who I am." I said, "And what did you learn?" She smiled. "That I have a brave friend, and that I'm not alone." The sky turned pink as the sun started to go down. We walked slowly back to her place. She said, "Do you want to come in for dinner?" I said, "Only if you cook." She laughed. "Okay, but no promises." We ate simple food and watched a film on her small screen. She rested her head on the cushion and said, "This feels good." I said, "Yes, it really does." Later, I walked home alone. The streets were quiet. The lights in the windows looked warm. I passed by the park again. The trees stood still. I stopped and looked around. It was the same place, but it felt different now. Maybe because we were different now. At home, my dad asked, "Did you have a good time?" I said, "Yes, a really good time." My brother looked up from his game. "You're smiling," he said. I said, "Because it was a good day." That night, I looked at the small card near my bed. "You are never alone." I touched it with my fingers and smiled. And I knew it was true. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. My name is Arya. I am 29 years old. I live in a small room above a flower shop. The shop is in a busy city. The streets are loud and the market is always full. But my life is quiet. My room has 1 bed, 1 chair, and 1 window. I do not have a kitchen. I use a microwave to heat my food. I do not need many things. I just need a place to sleep. I wake up every day at 6 a.m. I clean the flowers. I cut the stems. I make bouquets for customers. Some people buy flowers for birthdays. Some people buy flowers when they feel sad. I smile at them. I say, "Have a nice day." Then I go back to work. I make tea during breaks. I eat toast. I do the same things every day. People think I love flowers. I work with them all day. But I do not feel love. I do not feel much at all. I only feel tired. I was not always like this. Before, I was happy. I had my mother. I had a small dream. I wanted to open a shop with her. She loved to grow flowers. I loved to make pottery. We wanted to work together. We wanted a happy life. We called it Roots and Rain. I went to college for pottery. I liked clay. I liked making cups, bowls, and plates. My mother helped me. She made tea while I worked. She smiled at my work. I felt proud. I wanted to finish college. I wanted to open our shop. But one day, she started to cough. At first, we thought it was nothing. But then she got worse. She had to go to the hospital. She was sick. I did not understand the words the doctor said, but I saw her face. She looked tired. She was not the same. I left college. I stayed with her. I got a job in the flower shop near our home. I brought soup for her. I washed her hair. I gave her medicine. She still smiled at me, but I saw the pain in her eyes. She was trying to be strong. One evening I came home from work. I opened the door. It was quiet. Too quiet. I went to her room. She was in bed. She was not moving. I called her name. She did not answer. I touched her hand. It was cold. She had passed away in her sleep. I sat beside her for hours. I cried. I held her hand. I said, "Please come back." But she was gone. After the funeral, I moved out. I could not stay in our old home. It was too hard. I moved into the small room above the shop. It was cheap. The flower shop owner said I could stay. I said thank you. I had no family now. I had no dream. I stopped making pottery. I packed my tools in a box. I put the box in the back of the closet. I worked every day. I said hello to people. I smiled when they bought flowers. But inside, I felt nothing. I ate alone. I sat by the window and looked at the street. Sometimes I saw children play. Sometimes I saw couples walk by. I felt like a shadow. I was alive, but not living. One day, it started to rain. I was cleaning the floor near the door. A man walked in. His coat was wet. His face looked tired. He held a wooden box under his arm. He said, "Sorry. I just need to stand inside for a minute. It's raining hard." I looked at him. He did not look dangerous. He looked quiet, like me. I said, "It's okay. You can stay." He smiled a little. He said, "Thank you. It smells nice here." I said, "It's the flowers." He said, "I miss this smell. I used to live near a garden." His name was Matteo. He was new in the city. He was a carpenter. He made tables and chairs. He used to live in a small town near the sea. He moved here last month. He wanted to start again. He did not say why. He just said, "The sea took too much from me." He left after a few minutes. I thought he would not come back, but the next day he returned. He had a broken chair in his hands. He said, "Can I fix this here? My room is loud. Too many people. I like the quiet in this shop." I said, "Okay. Put it near the back." After that, he came almost every day. He brought small things to fix. A broken frame, a wooden box, a small table with one leg. He drank tea in the shop. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we sat in silence. I liked the quiet between us. It was not heavy. It felt soft. One evening, I was cleaning the counter. He looked at me and said, "You work with flowers. You work with life. That is beautiful." I looked down. I said, "I don't feel beautiful. I just do what I must." He said, "Still, you give color to others, even when you feel gray inside." I did not know what to say. I went upstairs that night and cried. I had not cried in a long time. I looked at the small closet. I opened it. I saw the box. My pottery tools were still there. I touched the clay. It was dry. I closed the box again. The next morning, I found something at the shop door. It was a small paper bag. Inside was a broken teacup. It had gold lines over the cracks. It looked old, but also new. There was a note. It said, "The heart heals in small pieces, not all at once. M." I held the cup in my hands. I sat on the chair. I cried again. I cried for my mother. I cried for myself. I cried because I did not know I could feel again. That night, I opened the clay again. I placed it on a wooden board. I added a little water. I shaped it slowly. My hands were not strong. I felt unsure, but the clay felt warm. It moved under my fingers. I made a small bowl. It was not round. It had lines. It was not perfect, but it was mine. When Matteo came the next day, he saw the bowl on the shelf. He smiled. He did not say much, but his eyes said enough. I started making 1 bowl each night, then 2, then 3. I put them on a small table in the back. Some customers saw them. One lady asked, "Can I buy one?" I said yes. Matteo brought me flowers from the market. He said, "These are for your shelf." We started talking more. He told me about his daughter. She was 10 when she died. He did not say how. He just said, "I thought I would never breathe again." I looked at him. I said, "You saw me when I had disappeared from myself." He smiled. He said, "So did you." The shop still smells like roses, but now it also smells like clay. My small room is full of pots and cups. The light comes in again. It is soft, but it is real. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. I started to feel something again. It was small, like a soft wind on my face, but it was real. I made 1 bowl each night. Then I made 2. I worked slowly. I made mistakes, but I did not stop. The clay felt soft in my hands. I was not fast, but I was not afraid. I cleaned the bowls and put them on a small table in the shop. I placed flowers inside them. One day, a customer looked at the bowls. She smiled and said, "Did you make this?" I said yes. She picked one up. It had blue paint on the side. She said, "It looks simple, but it feels warm." Then she asked, "How much is it?" I said, $5. She gave me the money and took it home. That was the first bowl I sold. I stood still for a moment. I looked at the small table. I felt something deep inside. It was not happiness. It was not pride. It was something soft. Maybe it was the beginning of hope. Matteo came to the shop that evening. He brought a wooden tray. It was round and smooth. He placed it on the table and said, "This is for your bowls." I smiled. "Thank you," I said. He gave a small nod. Then he looked at my hands. "You have clay on your fingers," he said. I looked down. My fingers were gray. I laughed a little. "I forgot to wash," I said. He smiled. "It means you are alive again." We started to talk more. Not big talks, just small words. He told me he worked in a wood shop outside the city. He made chairs and shelves. He did not like the noise in the city, but he stayed for work. He said he liked the quiet in the flower shop. He said it helped him think. One evening, I made tea for us. We sat near the window. It was raining outside. The rain hit the glass softly. Matteo looked at the street and said, "My daughter used to like the rain." I looked at him. He was quiet. His voice was low. "She was 10. She had a soft laugh. She liked red shoes and banana cake. I listened. I did not speak. He kept looking outside. She got sick one winter. We took her to the hospital. She never came home again. His voice shook a little. Then he looked down at his hands. After that, my wife left. She could not stay. I could not ask her to. I wanted to say something, but no words came. I placed my hand on the table. He looked at me. I said, I lost my mother. She was my only family. I thought I would never smile again. He gave a small nod. Then he said, You saw me when I could not see myself. You helped me feel again. I said, So did you. The next day, I walked past a small shop on my way home. There was a sign on the window. It said, For rent, small space. Good light. I stopped and looked. The shop was empty. The walls were white. The floor was old wood. There was a window in the front. It looked perfect. I stood there for a long time. Then I walked away. I told myself it was not possible. I did not have money. I did not have time. I was not ready. But the next morning, Matteo was waiting at the flower shop. He held a paper in his hand. I saw the sign too, he said. Let's go look. I said, I can't rent a shop. I have no money. He said, I can help. We will fix it together. We will paint the walls. We will use old tables. You bring the flowers and the bowls. I will bring wood and love. I looked at him. My heart was beating fast. Are you sure? I asked. He said, Yes, you are ready. So we did it. We cleaned the floor. We painted the walls white. We washed the windows. Matteo made shelves and small benches. I placed my pottery on the shelves. I put flowers in the bowls. I brought small things from my room, a photo of my mother, a scarf she made, a teacup with a gold crack. We called the shop Aria's Light. Matteo made the sign. He painted the letters by hand. We opened the doors one morning in spring. At first, only a few people came, but then more people started to visit. They liked the flowers and the bowls. Some people asked if I could teach their children. I said yes. I gave small classes on weekends. I taught them how to shape clay. I said, You do not have to be perfect. You only have to feel it. I worked in the flower shop in the mornings. I worked in my studio in the afternoons. Matteo came by often. He brought food, wood, or tea. He sat in the corner while I worked. Sometimes he fixed small things. Sometimes he just watched. He always looked calm. One evening, I locked the door of the studio. We sat on the floor. We drank tea. There were candles on the shelves. The room was warm. Matteo looked at me and said, You are strong, Aria. You love through pain. You shine, even when you feel tired. I felt my eyes fill with tears. I said. I still miss her. I still feel empty some days. He said, It's okay. Love does not erase pain, but it gives you new breath. I looked at him. My heart was open, but it was scared. I said, My heart has cracks. He took my hand and said, That's okay. The cracks show where the light comes in. Then he kissed me. It was not a big kiss. It was soft, like sunlight on a quiet day. My heart was slow and full. I did not feel broken. I felt whole, even with my cracks. Now every day feels simple but full. I wake up and go to the flower shop. I help customers. I tie ribbons. I smile. Then I walk to my studio. I open the door. The room smells like clay and fresh flowers. Children come in. They sit on small chairs. They laugh. They shape clay with tiny hands. They ask questions. I teach them gently. Mateo visits me in the evenings. He brings tea or bread. We sit by the window. We do not need to talk much. The silence feels kind. He is not loud. He is not perfect. But he is real. He is here. I still talk to my mother sometimes. I sit by the window and whisper to the sky. I say, Can you see me now? I think she can. I think she is proud. I think she smiles when she sees my hands in the clay again. I still miss her. I always will. But I am not lost anymore. I am still here. I am still trying. I am still loving. One morning, I opened the studio and saw a little note on the door. It said, Thank you, Miss Aria. I love the clay. My mom said I smile more now. It was from a girl named Lena. She was 8 years old. She came every Saturday. She always made animals with big eyes. She was shy at first, but now she smiled when she walked in. I put the note on the wall. I looked around the room. There were bowls, plates, and cups on the shelves. There were flower pots in the window. Some had yellow daisies. Some had small red roses. My mother's scarf was still near the back table. I kept it there for luck. I sat down and looked at my hands. They were full of clay and small cuts. But I liked them that way. These were working hands. These were hands that stopped giving up. Later that week, Mateo came with a gift. It was a small wooden box. Inside were tiny tools for pottery. There was a brush, a sponge, and 2 carving sticks. They looked new, but simple. These are for you, he said. You teach now. You need good tools. I touched the box gently. Thank you, I said. You always think of me. He smiled. You always make me feel safe. We sat by the window and drank tea. The sky was gray. The air felt cold. But inside, I felt warm. Mateo looked at the flowers in the window. Your mother would be proud, he said. I nodded. I hope so. She always wanted me to live a good life. He looked at me. You are living one now. I held his hand. So are you. Some weeks later, a woman came into the studio. She wore a red coat and carried a camera. She said, I write for the city paper. I heard about this place. May I ask you some questions? I was shy, but I said yes. She asked about the studio. She asked why I started it. I told her a little about my mother and the flower shop. I told her about clay and how it helped me feel again. She took some photos and said, Thank you for sharing your story. A few days later, Mateo brought me the newspaper. My story was on the last page. There was a photo of me smiling beside a shelf of bowls. The title said, Flowers, Clay, and Light. I read the words slowly. It felt strange to see my life in print, but it also felt good. I was not hiding anymore. I was open. I was here. More people came to the studio after that. They wanted to see the flowers and the pottery. They wanted to talk. Some people told me their stories. One woman said, My husband died last year. I still cry in the mornings. I said, Me too. But I also laugh sometimes now. She held my hand and said, Thank you. One evening, Mateo and I walked to the park. It was quiet. The trees were full of green leaves. We sat on a bench and watched the birds. He said, I never thought I would be happy again, but you showed me I can be. I looked at him. I didn't know I could love again, but I do. He smiled and said, Let's not talk about forever. Let's just talk about today. I said, Yes. Today is enough. After that, Mateo made me a small table for the studio. It was round and had short legs. He carved small hearts into the sides. He said, For the children, so they feel special when they sit here. I touched the hearts and said, They will love this. One Saturday, Lena gave me a small plant. It had purple flowers. She said, This is for your mother. I placed it on the back shelf, near the scarf. I looked at it every day. I said good morning to it like it was a friend. One night, I had a dream. In the dream, I was sitting in a garden. My mother was there. She smiled and gave me a cup of tea. She said, You are doing well, my girl. I see your flowers. I see your heart. I woke up with tears on my face, but they were soft tears, not heavy ones. Later that week, I wrote a letter. I wrote it to my mother. I said, I miss you every day, but I'm okay now. I still cry, but I also smile. Mateo is kind. The children make me laugh. The clay makes me feel alive. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for teaching me to grow. I put the letter in a small jar. I placed it beside the purple flowers. I whispered, This is for you. Now the studio is full of color. The walls have drawings from the children. The shelves have new pots and bowls. I do not care if they are perfect. I care that they are real. Each one tells a small story. Each one is a part of me. Mateo still comes every day. Sometimes he brings flowers. Sometimes he just brings silence. But it is good silence. It feels safe. He smiles more now. He sleeps better. He told me that once. He said, "When I met you, I could not sleep. Now I close my eyes and I rest. Sometimes we walk in the market. We buy bread and tea. We eat together in the studio. We do not talk about big things. We talk about small things, like how many flowers bloom today, or what color bowl the children liked best. At night, I still sit by the window. I still look at the sky. I still ask, "Do you see me now?" But I do not feel alone anymore. I feel full. I feel strong. Not because I have everything, but because I am still here. I am still loving. I am still growing. If someone asked me, "How did you heal?" I would say this: I made one bowl, then another. I cried when I needed to. I let someone hold my hand. I opened the door when it felt safe. I let the light come in slowly. This is my story. I do not know what comes next, but I know I will face it. With clay on my hands, with flowers near the window, with love in my heart, and with Mateo by my side. Thank you for listening.